So you can't just expect to say, oh, I would like to coach in the NBA one day and then get an NBA job.
Just happen. Is there any specific requirements for someone can be selected to coaching NBA team like you?
Not really, but at the same time, it's very difficult. So you have to understand that, okay, there isn't a college that you go to become an NBA coach. But at the same time, there's enough people that want to do it, and so few jobs. You can't expect to be okay at your job and get an NBA level job. You have to be really good, and you have to have proven success. So I only got an NBA opportunity because I was working at a college level before that, and was having success with players. And so a team needed a shooting coach, and I was a shooting coach that was working with players near that level that was helping them improve their shooting. So you can't just expect to say, oh, I would like to coach in the NBA one day and then get an NBA job.
Yeah, it's not that easy. And that's mean you're success coach.
Yeah, I hope so. The players that I've worked with have improved, and some of them have improved dramatically. So that I'm very proud of that.
Well, were you only training shooting in team, or you also training like dribble and anything else?
No, I focus only on shooting. That's early on in my career, I started to look at training other skills, but I found I didn't enjoy it as much, and I wasn't as good at it. And so I decided that I wanted to try and focus on this one area and be really good at one area rather than being pretty good at a whole bunch of different areas. So I wanted to be a specialist.
Yeah, it's special, so specific. So of course you're already trained a lot of players, not just from USA, I believe. Is it true?
Yes, I've done camps and clinics all around the world. I live in Canada, so I've pretty much done a camp or clinic in every city in Canada over the years, and then in the United States and in Australia as well. This past year, I was supposed to be starting doing clinics in Europe, and we're looking at Singapore and Indonesia and China eventually.
Have you been in Asian before?
I have not, but I'm hoping to do that in the next, hopefully in the next year or two.
So maybe you should go to Indonesia, to Pekanbaru.
I would love that.
Okay. From which countries that you think has mostly a good shooting form?
I wouldn't say there's a country that stands out. I think there are very common habits that if you look at a group of 50 kids in Australia and a group of the 50 kids in Canada, they're going to have similar habits, and it's very universal. And so I haven't seen a country that stood out in a positive or negative way. I think most youth players are about the same level, have the same sort of things they need to work on, and the same sort of success rate.
So you're saying there's no country with a good shooting form most?
Yeah, there's no country that stands out as, most of the kids here are amazing shooters. They're, again, all about the same level.
How can you describe a perfect shot? Because I have seen your latest Instagram post, and you're saying that it's almost perfect. It's not perfect. Why you say it's not perfect? Because I see it as a person, it's perfect.
The only reason I said it's almost perfect is because there is no definition of perfect. What I think is perfect, somebody else may say, "Oh no, he should be doing this instead," and or somebody else might have their definition of perfect, and I would disagree with it. So there is no one accepted perfect, but that one shot, and especially the camera angle, that's the part that I love. The camera was in the perfect spot to see little details that we don't often get to see. And there's if you go watch that video on my Instagram and you watch it in slow motion, which I've done hundreds of times, you will see Clay's finger, this finger, right on the bottom of the basketball, and there's a flash frame goes off in the arena that lights everything up at a perfect time. And it's just, for me, it's such a fun video to watch because it is such a great shot in such a difficult environment.
Did you ever handle your national team, or you're just coaching NBA team?
I've spent a small amount of time with the Canadian national team, and that's something that I hope to do more of, whether it's the Canadian national team or other programs, other countries. One of my career goals is I'd like to go to the Olympics. And so I have spent a little bit of time with the Canadian national team, but then I was busy with my NBA jobs over the last little while and haven't been able to do anything else.
You say you've been so busy. So, how many players that you're coaching in the same time? Is it just one or some players in one time?
Most of the work that I do, I'm working with one player at a time. So I will have one player for an hour-long workout, and then another player immediately after that for another hour. And so because the work that they need to do is so personal, you have to do it in a one-on-one environment. It's not nearly as helpful to do a group workout at that level.
So it's better if you're one-on-one with player, yeah.
Right. At all levels, it would be better, but especially at the NBA level, because money is not an issue, resources are not an issue, so we are able to focus just on one player at a time.
Yeah, it will be better. So what is the difference between coaching a professional player, NBA player, and a young player at the high school level?
I think the biggest difference is that the NBA player ends up being far more coachable than the high school player. If you can show, if you have a history as a coach of success with other players and you've proven that you can make players better, then the NBA players really want to learn. And young players tend to not, they want to get the benefits out of it, but they don't want to do anything that's uncomfortable, or they don't want to do, they don't want you to imply that they're not good enough yet, or their ego tends to be much bigger, which is funny because everybody thinks that an NBA player's ego is very large, but I found NBA players are very, very coachable.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought that NBA player ego is bigger than high school level.
Yeah, they do have big egos, but they also have the talent to back it up, and so there's nothing wrong with having a big ego as long as your ego is correct. And theirs is. It's when your ego is far bigger than your skill level, that's when it makes you difficult to coach.
Okay, I would like to translate it. Buat teman-teman, jadi kata Coach Dev Love, nggak ada yang salah dengan kalian punya ego yang gede. Yang penting ego kalian itu tepat. Kalian bisa membuktikannya dengan skill kalian, ya bukan ego yang egois yang nggak ada skill dan nggak ada apa-apanya. Okay, coach. What is the method of shooting training that you developed? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, but generally, like, I look at each part of the body that is moving to get the basketball moving, and we want to try and create energy that's going directly at the target or straight up in the air. And if as many parts of your body as possible can create energy either at the target or straight up in the air, a player is going to have a chance to be very consistent. When they're creating energy away from the hoop with numerous parts of their body, that's where they start to become weaker shooters or inconsistent shooters. So just looking at where the energy is flowing.
Oh yeah. So the consistency is really important, I guess.
Yeah, you want to be a good shooter, you need the ball to go in often every day. You can't be defined as a good shooter if you have one good shooting day and 4 bad. That's not the definition of good. And so to get that kind of consistency, you need to have a shooting motion that is simple enough and repeatable enough.
Okay, which player is better if one player having a bad shooting form but their ball is always into basket, right, and the other players having a good shooting form but they always miss?
Well, I would rather the ball go in, so because that's when we get points. So if you have bad shooting form, then but the ball goes in often, then I'll let you shoot it however you want. My goal isn't to make you look a certain way. My goal is to help you get the ball to consistently go in the basket. So if you figured out a way to do that, by all means, do it however you like. But if you can't, then I'll help to build better habits.
Oh yeah, so I guess the important things to make your shooting form is better is the habits when you're practicing.
Yeah, to identify what part of your body is pushing the ball offline and correct that habit.
So when do the best timing to practicing the kids the correct shooting form? Is it from high school level or before high school?
I would say hopefully we're teaching kids better shooting form throughout their life. That we may not be teaching them everything at one time, but with young players around 10 years old, hopefully we're teaching them how to use their lower body, how to be stable, how to be on balance. And then as they get a little bit older, we are teaching them how to get their hands positioned so they can shoot more of a one-handed shot as opposed to a two-handed shot. Hopefully we're always working towards better shooting form, that we don't just let them shoot however they want until 17 years old and then try to fix it. Hopefully we're building better habits throughout their career.
Okay, I will translate it. So, Coach Davlov bilang waktu yang tepat buat ngelatih shooting form yang benar itu dari kecil, dari awal dia main basket, tapi step by step, bukan di saat yang bersamaan harus kakinya benar, energinya benar, dan tangannya benar, tapi awalnya kita ajarin tubuh bagian bawahnya dulu, buat gimana caranya kakinya yang benar, baru akhirnya nanti sebelum 17 tahun itu diharapkan udah benar, udah bagus shooting formnya. So, Coach, can you share 1 or 2 basic rules that can improve an athlete's shooting ability?
Yeah, the first thing that I would encourage players is have their feet wide enough when they shoot that they can stop their energy. So I try and talk about getting your feet hip width apart, figuring out how wide your hips are, and then creating an opening in between your feet that is the same width as your hips, and that will allow you to cut hard in different directions, but then stop that energy so that you can create energy at the target. If you cut hard this way but have bad balance, your feet are too close together, you're going to not be able to stop this energy and potentially miss that direction. So first thing, be wide enough with your feet that you can stop negative energy. And then the second thing would get your hand positioned underneath the middle of the basketball so that you can shoot the ball with one hand along the target line. Try and avoid having your shooting hand under the side of the basketball, which would push it offline, and then you need the other hand to push it offline in the other direction. See if you can simplify that, get your hand underneath the basketball.
Okay, I will translate. Teman-teman, jadi basic skill buat nge-improve shooting kalian itu yang pertama dari kaki harus lebarnya yang sama bahu, kira-kira itu harus terbuka, dan tangan itu harus lurus sikunya sama lutut, dan bola basketnya tepat di tangan itu, dan tangan satunya lagi untuk ngelurusin biar pas shoot nggak salah arah gitu, pokoknya buat ngarahin tangan satunya lagi. Okay, coach, why it's better to shooting with one hands? Why don't you let them with two hands?
If you shoot with two hands, then you've got one hand. If I push only with this hand and it's positioned on the side, underneath the side of the basketball, then it will be applying force this direction. It will push the ball that way. So then I put my other hand on the other side, and now it's pushing that way. And I need those two things, those two hands, to push exactly opposite of each other in order for this energy to be canceled out by that energy to get the ball to go straight. We can do it. It's just more difficult because we have to make two mistakes exactly the same. When you get only one hand on the bottom of the basketball, you only have one variable instead of two variables. And so you'll be more consistent because there is only one variable. And it is pushing towards the target instead of away from the target.
Oh yeah, okay, so it will make the ball go straight.
Yes.
If you're using one hand. And when we're shooting, where the energy is from? Is it from our lower body or our upper body or both of them?
Where is the power coming from?
Yeah, power.
Coming from every part of our body. So your feet create power and also create accuracy. And your ankles and your knees and your hips and your shoulders and your arms and your fingers. Any part of your body that is moving is creating that energy that we give to the basketball to get it moving. So all of them are important. We think of our shot from here up, but your feet are just as important in how you shoot the basketball as anything else.
Okay, I will translate it. Yang pertama itu shooting kenapa satu tangan bukan dua tangan? Karena kalau dua tangan, tangan yang satu akan ngarahin bola ke arah sana dan tangan yang satu lagi arahin bola ke sana, dan itu jadi dua kesalahan yang bakal memperkecil memperkecil arah bolanya lurus. Sedangkan kalau satu tangan, bolanya akan lebih lurus dan dibantu dengan satunya lagi, bukan cuman buat ngarahin. Dan buat power kita shoot itu bukan cuma dari tubuh bagian bawah, dari kaki dan ataupun cuma dari tangan, dari bahu, tapi dari semua bagian tubuh, dari kaki itu ke tangan, bahu dan jari, itu semuanya ngeluarin power yang sama. From @clayton.m, hi coach, can Indonesian player play in NBA?